Did you ever see the German Netflix series How to Sell Drugs Online Fast? It's a dramatization of real life events with subtle comedy thrown in. Now, the creators of that show are now tackling another real life story with the Netflix series King of Stonks. Should this German show of greed and ambition be on your binge list? A driven IT guy and his brazen business partner work to create the most successful financial tech firm of all time. But as the company goes public, skeletons and threats begin to emerge, making the team try to stay one step ahead for success. This is probably one of the most stressful shows that I have watched in quite a bit. We've got Felix, this IT guy with a great head for business. Now, he's a tactician and a schemer, but he knows how to get things accomplished. Then there's Magnus, his business partner, who is most likely insane, but also has some incredible luck to have things fall in his favor. Their company, Cable Cash, is a financial tech firm that wants to rival the Deutsche Bank's way of doing finances in Germany, and then the world. This plays out with a ton of satire, mostly biting at the mega billionaires of our time, like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. But it also takes aim at corporate greed and how it can pervert any company if given the opportunity. Power, fame, and quick, immense wealth are powerful motivators for continuing in established behaviors. And when you can get out of consequences, or just by sheer luck you avoid devastation, there's no motivation to change. This show illustrates all that in very pointed ways. While there is some subtlety at times in the messaging, more often than not, the commentary is clear and direct and right in our faces. Now, if you have seen How to Sell Drugs Online Fast, there's a style to the storytelling that's also employed here. We have narration, typically from an unseen person, just giving us background on the situations, but also insight into our characters' minds. There are a lot of pop culture references spread throughout the production, also employing meme-like visuals to reinforce some of the ideas within a sequence. Now, these are typically shown in just a quick barrage of images scattered across the screen. Now, I don't think the goal is to be able to see every single one clearly and then read through all of the content in each of the visuals. I mean, they're put there to illustrate a certain theme, feeling, or a tone to what's happening at a particular moment within the story. Because of how quickly these are thrown onto the screen and then combined with the absolute hectic personality and actions of our characters, there is a stressful and even oppressive sentiment that is almost ever present. I mean, I'm not saying it's unpleasant, but it does create an atmosphere that is meant to put us on edge and feel the rush, the excitement, and then even fear that our characters are experiencing. This is 6 episodes long, with each of the episodes being about 50-ish minutes. Now, at the time of this recording, I can't tell if this is a limited series or if they'll continue on with the story. Now, the way it wraps up is satisfying if it does end up being a limited run, but I can see how we could follow more of the antics of Cable Cash. Now, with the episodes being fairly chunky, this will take a bit to binge, and you'll probably be mentally exhausted if you do binge it all at once. But I found myself becoming more and more engaged in the story that's playing out. Now, I did feel the time at points, but I think that was more due to mental and emotional fatigue from just the assault on my sensibilities. There's intrigue, a ton of conniving and scheming, plus there is some huge peril that our characters encounter that had me totally invested in watching how it was going to conclude. And then also, if everybody would survive or even make it out without being prosecuted. While there are a lot of characters in this that do get some minor screen time, there are a few that become more prominent. But funny thing is that for everybody except one character, I couldn't stand any of them. I mean, they were all off-putting in one way or another. And almost all of them are designed to be exactly that. The employees of Cable Cash act like drunken frat boys, and that covers all the employees, regardless of their gender. We don't see much, if any, actual work being accomplished, but we certainly see the partying, booze, and mayhem that accompanies an almost never-ending bender. Sasha is the only character I even liked in this show. She becomes the driver and personal assistant to Felix, and I loved how nonchalant she is, but also how she's ready to react in some very unexpected ways. As charismatic as Felix is and as demonstrably explosive as Magnus is, they are really despicable characters. I mean, I'm still drawn to them, even with their tantrums and immature behavior. I mean, they're just like a continuous train wreck. I couldn't tear my eyes away, but it was uncomfortable to watch a lot of the time. I was caught in this weird space where I wanted the show to end because it was just all so much to take in, especially, when watching horrid people succeed in their greedy attempts. But then, also, I didn't want the show to be over because I was hooked like some junkie on just the unhealthy adrenaline rush that the story was providing. And a lot of this looks cinematic in its presentation, which is really par for the course for most non-English productions. The scenes are captured well with framings that are just really meant to put us into the headspace of all the characters, all the while showing the insanity that's erupting around them. It's oddly satisfying to see how many different situations arise for Cable Cash and the characters. When one scenario seemingly is put to rest, another two that arise that continue the frenzied stress. I loved seeing the differences in reactions from Felix and Magnus. One is realistic and grounded, while the other is in kind of a state of denial, with obliviousness and hubris directing their actions. And because this is based on true events, but then dramatized for entertainment, I'm not sure how much is truth and how much is exaggerated or just completely made up. There are some characters that are thorns in the sides of both Felix and Cable Cash, particularly this duo known as the Hermans. While the Herman brothers could be real people, they also have a ridiculousness to them that makes me wonder just how much was embellished to add extra drama and then conflict to the story. Regardless though, they do amp up the level of craziness to the story, just adding chaos and tension. And while I didn't like them as characters, they get to be piled in with all the other ones that I couldn't stand, and we weren't meant to. Now, because I don't speak German and I don't do dubbing, I watch this in the original German with the English subtitles. Now, there are portions every once in a while where the dialogue was so quick that I found myself missing small bits of pieces of sentences just because the character had moved forward in their rantings. Now, I didn't miss enough to lose context, but just know that you could also experience that while watching. So overall, King of Stonks is a stressful series with characters acting frantically as they try to stay one step ahead of disaster. The acting is superb, with characters that are over the top, some filled with hubris, others with charm, but most of them I love to loathe. I don't know where fact and fiction converge in this, but with the hectic pace of the show and then the continuous plans and schemes, I was fully engaged, with my blood pressure rising through each episode. The cinematography is wonderful, and the story is told in a captivating, albeit very ADHD way. I wasn't sure I was going to have as much fun with this as I ended up having, but I also felt like I needed to take a shower because I wanted certain things to happen to characters that just didn't end up occurring. But that's also what happens when a tale is told that's based on reality. There's sex, nudity, a ton of profanity, and some violence. I give King of Stonks 3.5 out of 5 couches. If you had a surefire investment opportunity, but it was also on the sketchier side of legal, would you take it? And I don't think there's anything that could actually incriminate you in the comments, right? Well, let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.